Hi, my name is Shia Ritchie, and this is a response to assignment 6.2's reflective journal entry. So, there have been several moments at a birth that I've attended where I've experienced like common minor complications to the first stage of labor. One client that really stuck out to me, this was a home birth. She was having her third baby and she was a VBAC. And I think one of the prior information that we learned about her is that she, at her previous birth, which was like 2 years prior, she had massive clots and prodromal labor, and but she still was able to deliver at home. So that was her first VBAC, and then the birth that I attended was her second VBAC. So we're in active labor with her, and we're there for a few hours, and we can hear the sounds that she's making, that she's really, really going through like some really, really strong contractions. And then just nothing's happening. And she's laboring in the water, and we hear these like really strong roars, and then no progress. And she consents to a vaginal check, and wherever she was, that's not really important to the story. But what I know is that by the second vaginal exam, she had not dilated anymore. Baby was engaged. Like everything on paper was good. Vitals were good. Fetal heart tones were great. And luckily, my preceptor was her midwife to her last baby, her first VBAC. And she was just like, let me just try something. And this was something that I thought was like so, like a testament to seasoned midwives. Because she said, for these next three contractions, I'm gonna lift your belly really high, and you're just gonna like get through these contractions, okay? And like thinking about it now, having my own water birth, like I don't know, that maybe 6 months after I attended this birth, I would have been in such a wreck to have somebody lift up my belly while I'm having these contractions. But this mom was like such a warrior. So my midwife lifts her belly up, and then she has the first contraction, lifts her belly up for the second contraction, and then finally for the third contraction, her belly was lifted. And wouldn't you know it, we're crowning. A bag of water broke first, then crowning. Head was out, and then on that, I think, second contraction after she had lifted up her belly, that baby was out. And two things had. So, by the way, this was. I think we were at our house for about 7 hours total through all this active laboring and contractions. So, what my midwife had discovered after, because there were two things involved, she knew that this client had a history of like massive clots, and she was feeling a lot of pain after the placenta had come out, and she was just bleeding, like bleeding, 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 bleeding. I wouldn't necessarily say a hemorrhage, but blood just kept coming out. And so my midwife, and this really, really freaked me out actually, she put her hands in, and the client was like, Shia, take my hand. So I come next to the client and I grab her hand, and my midwife does this, like, in my head, like, or in my eyes, this abrupt just push in and turn. And wouldn't you know it, a insane amount of clots comes out. An insane amount of clots comes out. And then the bleeding starts to dissipate. And she does another vaginal check after, finding any more clots, maybe some scarring or anything like that. And she was like, so I'm noticing that your uterus is like really tilted. And so what that stall was during her contractions was the baby sort of sitting on top of the uterus. Like if this here is her uterus. The baby was sitting here. So when she lifted up her belly for those contractions, the baby was able to slip down and engage into the client's pelvis. So that was something that, first of all, a huge learning curve, because I see one other way that a person was able, or a midwife was able to notice a problem, not even a problem, but like just notice something about a client and their labor and their history, and be able to do some really intuitive manual work to help this client get her baby down. So that was probably one of the most amazing experiences, especially for a VBAC, especially for someone who was known to pass a lot of clots. And I mean, like, for her first VBAC, she showed a clot like this big, one of those, like, when to call the midwife clots. And in fact, a couple days after we had the newborn, the day before the newborn exam, so the day after she had the baby, she had showed a picture of a massive clot, but no bleeding after that. So this was just like one of those clients where like a lot of things look kind of weird textbook wise, but we know this client, and it was just like, this just is how this woman has babies. So yeah, that is the experience that I had with this like common complication for the slow progress of this particular client's birth. Thank you.